So, hey guys, welcome to Bible study another Friday/Saturday morning. I hope you guys are all well. I know you guys are all well because you just told me. Um, as usual, we start off Bible study with a prayer chorus and someone to pray. So, any volunteers? And we'll start off. Someone to sing a prayer chorus and someone to open in prayer. I'll open in prayer. Somebody can sing a prayer chorus. But you guys supposed to look for me. Anybody, guys?
Vicky, deal with it now. I call you miss last week.
You know what? You know, so me can't sing, me not understand this, but I will do both. Watch me now. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, our Father. You are worthy of all praise. To you, voice we raise. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, our Father. You are worthy of all praise, Lord. To you, our voice we raise. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. Hallelujah. Let us bow our heads and bow our hearts so we can welcome the Holy Spirit. Dear God and Heavenly Father, we just want to take this moment, dear God, to welcome you in this place, dear God, to welcome you in this space where we come together to learn more about you, Lord, and to worship you, to understand you more, dear God, and to understand the call you have placed on our lives, dear God. We ask you, Lord, to open our hearts, open our minds, dear God, to welcome what you're about to download in us, dear God. Speak through our leader today, dear Lord, and help her, Lord, to open up and to hear what you have to say so she can deliver it to us, dear God. Let our hearts be fertile, dear Lord, so your seed may be planted so that we can bloom, Lord, 100 folds, dear Father, into what it is that you hope us to be, that you have created us to be, dear Lord, that we ourselves not even see it, God. Thank you so much for this space. Thank you so much for sparing our lives, for blessing us the way you have, and for giving us all the resources and the technology that is necessary for us to share in this moment, God. Have your way, Lord, I pray, in Jesus' precious name, as we give you thanks and glorify your name, Lord, for you are truly worthy, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank
Amen.
you, Vicky. Thanks. Okay, guys. So today, Alana will be leading us. So the past few weeks we've been looking at Ruth. So now we're at Ruth chapter 3, and Alana will take the lead on this one. So over to you, Alana.
Thanks, Rav. Good night, everybody, and good morning to everybody else on the other side of the world. So I'm gonna be covering Ruth chapter 3 today, and I came to Ruth chapter 1, and I remember the structure being like we kind of break down each verse. So I structured tonight that way, just so it's kind of similar and we kind of rinse out everything because I realize you guys really like that way in Ruth 1. I missed Roof 2, but I did read it. But I would love if somebody could like take 2 minutes and kind of just do a rundown of what we did last week, just so I kind of have it in the back of my head since I was absent. I'm sorry I was absent. I was in Quebec and I don't know, my schedule was just off. But yeah, can somebody just kind of summarize or like the key takeaways from Roof 2 last week? Let me see how long Roof 2 is. I was gonna say we could read it, but yeah, can someone just kind of just like sum up what you guys came to last week, and then we can move on to Route 3? Just because I think a couple of us here didn't catch it, so yeah. Buddy Brandon, Rav, Julie. And remember last week?
Yeah, I do, but I saw Julie moving towards it, so I was gonna make her go first. So I think I'll do that.
Oh,
Julie, go
okay.
ahead.
Sorry, I'm not seeing everybody. I kind of have you on a tiny screen thing here. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Julie's shaking her head, so I think that's a no. So last week, if I could sum it up in as few words as possible, it was through the perspective of Naomi, almost starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're starting to see, for her at least, the God's hand in the picture. It's starting to make sense. So here was Ruth going about making use of the premise that God had set in Israel of old, where it's a case where, all right, those who are harvesting in the land, they left enough for those who didn't have enough to be able to get some. And so she was going about doing that. And it just so happens that God would have had Ruth find the field of a man named Boaz, who also happened to be the relative of Naomi. But not only did Ruth find this space and this guy who she's never met named Boaz, but I think the story was so beautiful in that um, this guy who she's never met provided such beautiful hospitality for her, where he not only provided what he was required to by law, but provided provision, provided protection, and then just cutting to the end of the story where Naomi is told of what took place between Boaz and Ruth. And I can just imagine the smile, almost tears of joy that must have, just flooded open from her eyes as she would have realized that, hey, yo, God still has my back and I can see my story turning around now.
Beautifully said, Brandon. Thanks for summing it up for us. All right, so with that being said, we can go on to Ruth chapter 3. And from here, I'm going to go verse by verse, and guys, get your Bible out because I'll ask you guys to read. So, can somebody read Ruth chapter 3, verse 1 for me, please? Let me take out my physical Bible. Thank you, Rob. Oh, thank you, Julie.
Yeah, that's cool. So Ruth chapter 3 verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Amen.
Okay. All right. I know it's kind of hard to break these down because they're so short, but I think that's what's so interesting, just like we did in Ruth 1. So, what do you guys get from that? The provided for, especially. Like, why did Naomi think that she needed to provide for Ruth right now? Now they reach back to where they reach. Like, why do you think she felt like she needed to do this? Or just overall, what do you get from the first verse?
May not be like a direct answer to your question, but I just like the way that Naomi speaks to Ruth. She says, my daughter. It's a title of endearment. It just shows the love that exists between these two women. And just kind of pivoting back from Ruth chapter 1, we saw how much Ruth expressed love for her mother-in-law, which at the time, from our perspective of today, didn't seem like the sensible choice. Based on our conversation, Orpah was the one who made what seemed like the more reasonable choice. But I just find it interesting in chapter 3 where it now compounds on that same idea of the love that exists between these two women.
Hmm. Two? Like, read 1 and 2 together.
All right, sure. So verses 1 and 2. Then Naomi her mother-in-law said unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want you guys to focus on the, how do I say? So what I get from this, right, especially when it goes down to the relative part, is as it's kind of hard, we never read it like everything together, but as Brandon had said earlier, at the end of chapter 2, right, Naomi had been made known of that Ruth and Boaz actually are acquainted now, and that like Ruth can actually work in the field and everything's well. And if you recall, when she got to the when they went back to Israel, right? And the harvesting season had kind of just started up, and they were there for months. So what I realized, like when I was like actually deep diving into this, is that by this time between the end of chapter 2 and when like now when pretty much when Naomi is trying to suggest this whole find security for you. This is already when she starts to suggest Boaz, by the way, being the next husband. You would have assumed by now that they were spending quite a bit of time together, not really together because obviously she's just a worker. So she's not like, there with him every night or whatever. It's not like that. But you can in those days close enough. You guys get that from that? It's like she's already I have a different version, so I think it's a bit clearer. Like here when she's like in chapter 2, no, but Boaz with whose woman you have worked is a relative of ours, right? So pretty much Ruth is already acquainted with the woman that worked with Boaz, and she's already acquainted with Boaz. So Naomi's already saying, you're in the circle now, right? We can, now that you're in the circle, this can be like a path of security for you. And as Brandon was saying earlier, it was very clear that Naomi had a lot of affection for Ruth as her daughter-in-law, right? From the fact that she wanted to send her to make her stay in Moab with her family, from that point straight to how Ruth came with her. Even though Ruth came, she was still like, I want security for you. And that has been the theme or like the desire of Naomi then from the start of the book straight throughout. She wanted security for Naomi. From the time she said, stay in Moab, to the time even now, it's always been about securing Naomi's future and just basically her livelihood, right? Just making sure that she's taken care of and she's not struggling and everything. That has been the want of Naomi this whole time. Does anybody else get that, or is like, what are your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, yeah, I get that too because even in chapter 1, verse 9, it was
Mm-hmm.
where Nike was talking to the two of them, her daughters in law, and she said, may the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband. So we can see that this is what she wanted for them. And for her to be able to navigate that and provide that for Ruth is I don't know. I would feel really good if I was Naomi. Like I would want that for her and to be able to be the person to help get that for her. I think that's just amazing for Naomi. Yeah.
Exactly. You took exactly the verse that I was gonna take next, Rav, with the Ruth 1 verse 9. So thank you for that. So no worries, Josh. You can like use the chat if anything. Yeah, you took the exact verse I was gonna go, Rav, with security. So in as you said, verse 9, the Hebrew word's not used in my Bible, but there's a Hebrew word for security. And the same word, the same Hebrew word for security apparently is the same word for rest, which I found very interesting. The same word that she was using in verse 9. I think, yeah, my version has rest. I think yours does too. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in a home of another husband. So the word apparently in Hebrew for rest and security mean the exact same thing. And then here in the latter part of, well, this is verse 2, young woman you were with, is he not our relative? So back in those days, just follow the history lesson, in Israeli culture, if a wife, if a man like dies and he leaves a widow behind, it's like the next man kind of in the family closest to him that would need to bring marry the woman and then secure the family, right? So the land and the family, the kids. I know Ruth don't have any more kids or anything, but he's supposed to like marry her, give her more kids, like whoever this new relative is. This is why the word relative is so important here with security. Because how women back in those days get security and rest and I guess stability is through marriage, right? It's the back in those days. You couldn't really work and fend for yourself and get far and really comfortable. You need a man to marry you. And I just like felt like bringing the word here just because I think it's always important to just learn the actual words. So the goal, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but sometimes translated as kingsman redeemer, had a specifically defined role in an Israeli family, which is what I just described. So their role as the redeemer, or the goal, which is like the proper word, is to actually marry the widow of the whoever husband died, and just so that the family name can carry on because they would have the same last name, give her more children if you don't have any children, or if they already do have children, just make sure the children are well taken care of and that the land is well taken care of still and the properties. And you can also find another responsibility, just for like FYI, of this redeemer, by the way, in other contexts of the Bible, is in Leviticus 25, verse 48. The kingsman redeemer was responsible to buy a fellow Israelite out of slavery. So again, it's kind of like a rescuer role of like saving people from certain situations. And you can liken it to this situation here with Ruth, where she kind of needed saving, right? Because she wasn't in a good position right now. So you can kind of like liken it to that. And then another one is in Numbers 35, verse 19. He was responsible to be the avenger of blood to make sure the murder of a family answered to the crime. So it's kind of like a savior role. So I don't use the word savior, my bad. A redeemer role and just like a rescuer role. Um, yeah, the girl responsible to safeguard the person's property and prosperity of the land. You mean the goal, Julie, or the girl? But yeah, the goal is that's exactly what it is, right? To safeguard property and land and the family. So anything that the family need to get out of, that was their job. And here Naomi is saying that Boaz is that person in their family because he was, yeah, he's that person in the family. No worries, Julie. All right, so let's go on to anybody have anything else to add for verse 1 and 2, or should we move on to 3?
I have a comment not to make on the verses, but on something that you mentioned in Leviticus.
Mm-hmm.
So just correct me if I'm wrong, because I may have the internet may have chipped up for a sec. But you had mentioned a verse in Leviticus that talked about the next of kin redeeming his family member from bondage or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that said? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So even as I thought about it, it gave me context to understanding another verse, which I think is really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hebrews 2, verses 10 and 11. Here's what it says. It says, "For it became him for who are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make them the captain of their salvation perfect with sufferings. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified are all of one." And here's a phrase that I'm focusing on now. "For which cause he's not ashamed to call them brethren." Now I think about it and I'm wondering, all right, what sense does that phrase make? Why would Jesus not be ashamed to call us his brethren? Verse 10 kind of sets this premise where, Jesus is coming from this point of elevation, from whom are all things and all of these things, that point of being in heaven. And yet he humbled himself to the point of not being ashamed to call us brethren. And in the context of Leviticus, I think it's beautiful because it requires a kinsman in order to redeem his family member from slavery. It's kind of putting the pictures together. We're sold under the slavery of sin. We were captive by sin, and we needed a brother, a kinsman, in order to redeem us from that bondage in Levitical language. And our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, saw it necessary to become our brother. And that required him leaving the point of elevation, coming to suffer the way that he did, in so much that he's able to say, "I'm not ashamed to call them brethren. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I left perfection in heaven to come down and suffer the way that I did. And I'm proud to say that I'm the brother of Brandon and Elena and Rav, because by virtue of that, I'm able to redeem them from the captivity of sin."
I didn't even think of that. Beautifully said, Brandon. I like how you connected the two. Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything to add? Oh, Brandon, can you repeat the Hebrew verse, please? Like I was trying to, my notepad is across the room, so I was pulling up a Google Doc to like type my notes one side.
Yeah, Hebrews 2, verse 10 and 11.
Thanks.
Alana, can you please repeat the Leviticus verse?
Yeah, it was Leviticus 25, verse 48. And there's another one as well in Leviticus I can give you. There's another one. So he was responsible to buy back family land that has been forfeited. That is Leviticus 25, verse 25. And there's another one. No, this is Deuteronomy. And there's Deuteronomy as well. Deuteronomy 25, verse 5 to 10, but just like a snippet of it would be he was responsible to carry on the family name by marrying a childless widow. So there's several connections in the Bible to this kind of culture and like just the responsibility of this individual in the family. So it's usually the closest male in relation to the late husband that takes on this role back then. And actually, it's still like kind of well in like places that are really traditional in the Middle East. Like this is something that happens as well. I did have a friend from Iran who it seemed like this is something that his uncle had done, which I found was kind of strange. But I think in certain places, they do that as well. So yeah. All right. So continuing on to verse 3. Can someone read verse 3, please?
I can read verse 3. I
Thank you.
have the NIV version. Okay, verse 3. Wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. Amen.
So here we can hear Naomi giving Ruth an instruction, right? But what can you guys get from this? Like what I realized in reading this one, as opposed to like chapter one, it's kind of hard to pull like a lot from each verse if you don't think really hard. So when you read verse 3, wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes, and go down to the threshing floor, and do not let him know you are there until he's finished eating and drinking. Ladies, I actually want the ladies to respond to this one. Some woman I've got in this chat. Somebody respond to this one. What do you get from this instruction? Somebody's telling you, go down the threshing floor, make sure you dress up on the really nice for this man. What do you get from this instruction? And like what would your response be? Think about it like that.
I don't know what my response would be. Probably wouldn't do that because, like, why am I doing that? That's weird.
If you wanna
But what I got
perfume.
from this is that Naomi is probably speaking from experience or more knowledge than Ruth. You know, she's she knows what she's doing basically. She knows how to get a man. So she's like, okay, sis, this is what you gotta do. So yeah, Naomi's like the ultimate wing woman.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Guru, Julie, Caitlin. Okay. Yeah, honestly, your answers are in line with like my research. So pretty much right here, it's something I came across. Do I have the verse up here? Let's see. Yeah, pretty much going down to here. So here is like the instruction Naomi's giving to Ruth as to how to petition Boaz to exercise his responsibilities as her goal, right? So you kind of want to win over. Is kind of the point of this all. But something to emphasize, which I wanted the ladies to answer, it's not like because I know Julie was saying, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, why would I do that? It's like it's not like in these days, like you're trying to go and be promiscuous then to a man, right? Back in these days, this was actually something because you see, she did we get as far as uncover feet? How far did we get here? Oh no, we didn't get as far. It's okay. Somebody read verse 4.
I can just read verse 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
When he lies down, note the place where he is lying, then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do.
Okay, yeah, this is so far I wanted to get. So, all right, before I even touch on this part, does anybody else have anything to say? Now that we tie in verse 4, where she has to uncover his feet and lie down by his feet. What do you guys get from this? And think about Ruth's character here and her response to this instruction. What kind of characteristics do you see coming out here from Ruth?
Some sort of humility. There's another word I'm trying to think of right now, but humility would be along that line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else? No.
Submission, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. So here you can see that that Ruth. I don't know why I keep mixing the names as I speak. Yeah. So here you can see that Ruth is one obedient to Naomi, right? You can see that Ruth has had a level of respect for Naomi throughout this entire book, right? Whatever, and she said it back in, where did she say it exactly? Let me see. Let me see. Let me dig it up. It was in chapter 1 where she was saying, "Wherever you go, there's someone gone." Remember when she was saying all of that? I know that's not exactly what she said it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And back when she said that, it carries over here. Like Ruth is staying true to her word that listen, whatever you say, at that, like I'm gonna listen to you and I trust you. Like Ruth actually trusts Naomi, and Naomi has like that kind of affection for Ruth where she could actually trust her because she said, "This lady has my best interest at heart, and she's trying to secure me right now, right? She wants me to find rest, she wants me to have security, and she's saying, this is what I need to do, this is what I'm gonna do." Can I say she was loyal? Her attitude gave an aura of servantry. Yes, Joshua, exactly. So here, especially when you go to when he lies down, note the place where he is lying, then go on and cover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do. I think Vicky used the word submission here, right? Back in those days, it's important for submission was very important, especially when you're trying to get a husband, right? You have to submit to the man. And at the end of the day, like some people may look at this like off the top of your head, thinking of a woman today, because we're independent and man, I like some my problem. All of these things, it's like you probably wouldn't do this if someone said that you should go and do this, right? You'd be like, you're kind of doing too much. Like, why I have to go bend down? Why I'm don't come talk to me? Look, all look good and everything. Like, why I need to go look? Me not look no man. That is pretty much the attitude that a lot of us have these days. We have to think back about the context of then, right? Like back then, the context of it. Remember that Boaz, this was his responsibility to the family, right? His responsibility as the redeemer or the goal of this family. I need to Google the pronunciation of that word. But yes, his responsibility as a redeemer of his family was actually to marry Ruth. So it's not like she going out of her way now to come thief a man or tie a man or whatever. This is actually his responsibility. And she's just kind of making it known to him, like, look here, boss. This is your responsibility. And I'm showing you that I'm going to be a submissive wife to you when you fulfill your responsibilities, is pretty much what's happening here. And it is Ruth showing that she is submissive, she has humility. Because remember, Ruth is a person of character. She's a Proverbs 31 woman, right? So she's showing here that listen, I'm submissive, I'm respectful, I obey Naomi, and I'm coming to you and I'm gonna uncover your feet. And she's just trying to make sure that she shows him, like she's just kind of saying, like, look here, just remember your responsibility to me. Is pretty much what's happening here. And even when it comes to the uncovering of feet, actually let's go down to verse. This is probably better tied in. Let me see. Did I cover my points here? Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, someone says, yeah. Ruth humbly and wisely received the counsel of her mother-in-law. Ruth, on a whole, must say that Boaz had to be an extraordinary person. Okay, here. So someone was talking, I was reading deeply, and someone was talking about Boaz's character, which we can tie in not so much in this chapter by itself, which is why I wanted someone to kind of summarize chapter 2, because this is when you really got a sense of Boaz's character. As Brandon was saying, like he took Ruth in and he was respectful to her the whole time. He's like, come into this field and like, go behind these people. You can go through what already picked through. You can go behind people and pick up what you need to pick up. I'm gonna feed you. Come and sit here at this table, eat this, eat that. Like he took care of her and he respected her, right? He respected Ruth. It wasn't just some girl that's come on the farm and him I said, that other together she just come on the farm and take up people things. No, it wasn't like that. He respected her from the moment he saw her, and you could see that in verse 2, right? You could see it. He was a respected, like just like how Ruth was a woman of character, Boaz can also be described as a man of character. Throughout chapter 2, he was very respectful, right? Very respectful guy. And so being submissive to a respectful guy back in those days, I'm sure it wasn't that hard for Ruth because she would already seen Boaz's character. And remember, they weren't strangers at this point. It wasn't some random man she meet last week. Remember, so the harvest done, and like everything a colic and weeks. If you look at the context of just how things would have happened, they would have been spending weeks together. Well, seeing each other or an acquaintance for weeks by now. So this wasn't like some random kind of thing. they're already acquainted with each other, and now this is just the plan unfolding now after time has passed. Anybody have anything to add? Hearing me say that, I see Vicky shaking her head like, yes, it's true. Boaz respectable.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Hmm.
We talked a bit about submission in the context of a relationship. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion of what does that mean exactly. So, like for example, when Ephesians says, "Wives, submit to your husbands," what we say that, but what does that mean?
Okay,
Okay.
so I struggle with this too because I'm still trying to find out Brandon honestly, completely. This is one example of submission, but as I just said, Boaz was a respectable man, right? I don't think it's hard to submit to somebody who's a leader. He's a leader of his farm, right? Boaz leading enough people and pan him farm a creep up, what him a creep up. And he has people that respect him. You can see that Boaz is somebody in the town where he run things. You know, he runs a little section. He's a respectable guy. And so submitting to him, I think, means like, in the sense, like allowing him to lead and you follow respectfully. That's what kind of I think of with submission. I don't think submission means control in any way. As you'll see as we go through this chapter, he has not tried to control Ruth in any way throughout this entire thing, right? Ruth is being submissive to him, but she has never ever been like controlled by him or like taking some big instruction by him at all. Like I haven't seen that through this whole thing, reading from verse 1 to chapter 1 to 3. I'm not trying to skip to 4 anywhere. I'm trying to explain this going down, right? And and so I think this whole submission thing, if we want to use this example, it comes from the sense of, because you remember so that verse will stop there, so in a Brandon. It goes like, wives submit to your husband, and then men like love your wife like Christ of the church, right? And it's like for your husband to love you like Christ of the church, you know. Right now he's to love me more than I love him. That's how I seen it, because that's a different kind of love, right? And through that love, there's gonna be mutual respect. He's gonna be leading as the man and all of that. You can lead to as a woman, but you know what I'm trying to say. He's leading as a man, and so you're gonna, I think, naturally submit in the sense that he's gonna lead, and then as a wife, you're gonna guide. Because I know a lot of biblical, like a lot of people who preach the word, that when they talk about like relationships and like just like how a kingdom marriage functions, they speak also about the wife's role being a lot of direction and guidance, and especially like counsel to the man. Like he's making a decision, she's like, babe, that doesn't make no sense. You know what I mean? But he's still like making decisions and is a leader, but she's still like steering it. You know what I mean? Like he would say, we're going Devon House ice cream, but she kind of drive the car, and then she decide which road. You're going down Hope Road, or you're going to take it up through. I can't remember any roads in Jamaica right now, but you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like that kind of way. That's what I think at least. But Vicky, you're older, you're more experienced, so please come and educate Brandon
But
on
like, oh, that. Oh my gosh, me over here mind my own business and I try to learn from you and you're like, but Vicky, you're older.
more experience.
Oh my gosh. All right. So let's take it to First Peter chapter 3, right? Verse 1, and it says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. While this is verse 2, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, and fear right there really means respect, that kind of fear the Lord, respect the Lord, coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting of the hair and of wearing of gold or putting on the apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. Now, I have a Bible called the Clear Word Bible, and I'm just going to read verse 1 out of it. It says, these same principles apply to husbands and wives. Wives should respect their husbands. If a Christian woman is married to a man who does not obey the gospel, her conduct may convince him of the truth. And we can jump from there to Proverbs 31. I don't have it open in front of me, but there's a verse in Proverbs 31 that speaks about the husband being respected at the gate. And there's a verse in the Bible that speaks about the wife being the crown or the jewel in the husband's crown. In my humble opinion, in reading all of this, what I get to understand when it comes to a woman subjecting herself to a husband is kind of, and there's this Japanese proverb where said the man is the head and the woman is the neck. Is this idea, like you say, it's almost like you have the CEO and then you have the manager of the company. The manager is the person who does the day-to-day running, but the CEO has the final say. But you're not gonna have a CEO just walk in and say, Brandon, you're my manager, but here was shut up, blah, blah, black sheep. Hardly. Usually you have if a CEO runs a good company, they are in conversation with that manager all the time. So like you said, Alana, it's not like, oh, be submitted where mega control you and what I said, do this, and mega beat up my chest and say, me are the man of the house, so you better respect me and all of that. It's an idea of that there's a partnership, but there's an understanding that at the end of the day, this man have a little edge over me. As I said, like the manager and the CEO kind of thing. And as women, when we kind of submit ourselves with this meekness, the spirit of meekness, the spirit of respect, to the point where, and remember, it says subject yourself under God. You understand? So it's not a matter of you must be subjecting yourself to your husband to the point where he's doing evil things and you just a follow back him. It's godly. It's in a godly manner. And First Peter speaks about this, that even if your husband doesn't believe, your conduct as a woman influences him as a man to believe God's truth. That's a powerful responsibility as a woman, you know. A powerful responsibility, saying that even if your husband steps out of line, by conducting yourself as a godly wife, you can kind of pull him back to you. Chase conversations. You have clean conversations to conduct yourself. And that ties into the Proverbs 31 woman who does all these things and kind of is the pride of her husband, because she does all those things and she's so respected in the community. Her husband is also respected. And we can see this in everyday life when you watch those crazy shows like Real Housewives and Marriage Boot Camp and then something. The people them who have these crazy women, look at their lives. You understand? And I'd like to submit Jada and Will Smith. You understand? Like, just look at the life. A woman's conduct can really influence how well a husband does versus how your life can turn because of things that you do. It is a huge responsibility. So in my opinion, as I said, a woman submitting herself to her husband is not like you're gonna lay down and make him walk over you, but it's an idea that this is hand in hand. I understand that you're the CEO of the house, but I'm the manager, and we can work together in holy matrimony, respectable matrimony, godly matrimony, and my conduct can help to influence you in almost every aspect of your life. And that's why the Bible says, he that findeth a wife find it a good thing. And you can be, you don't have to take the word, the Bible for it. And I will, because the Bible is my Bible, you understand? But just look into the world right now. Just look into the world. You can see how well a man does or how happy a man is. I mean, I thought the one them where I pretend to be happy and then, next thing you hear said them jump off a cliff somewhere. You just look into a man life, a man who is almost like, you can see him radiate. You understand? You can see him radiating. Just look at him. And the world has it to say that behind a good man is a good woman. But the Bible says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So it's kind of the same coin. So that's my understanding of submitting to your husband. It's not just allowing this man to walk over you, but it's almost to help carry him. That's what I should say. Help carry this man. Yeah, that's for another Bible study. When you're ready, just hire me and we can do this.
Thank you for that, Vicky. Brandon, you good or?
No, hold on. Maybe we should take out our notebook, man. I say, hold on, what's going on here? Uh, Honestly, that was very insightful, and it almost I don't know why I was smiling so much when I'm just like, yeah, let me read the verse there as well. And there's a next verse in Proverbs that talks about, God, a father can give a son, inheritance and like all these good things, but only God can give a young man a wife. And I was just like, wow, this
Mhm.
is this is a lot where it comes into play, right? But yeah, but I've got a question though, or rather a statement, if I can ask. It's about like how when you're trusting in God, you're not really sure what His decision is or what His decision is going to lead you into, but it's gonna be better than what you would do on your own. I know that the comparison was made quite often in what you were saying just now about a man and his wife and ourselves to God. So I'm asking if you think it's along those lines where sometimes the reason they're making decisions is because you know that you're submitting to the decision is because you know that they love you so much and they're putting your interest at heart so much more that even if you don't see it in the decision that they're making, you can trust in them and their love for you. It's if just like how we can trust in God's decision and His love for us.
Well, then live your like Christ of the church, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's like that, kingdom marriage, then you should be able to trust your spouse, but also be able to guide and discuss when his decision is something that you can't see, I think, still. Because as like Vicky was saying, like, we're still like supporting, you know what I mean? So I think it genuinely is hard to support a decision that you don't understand. So I think that patience as well, because like in Ephesians 5, they talk about what a man should be as well, right? Like showing fruits of the spirit,
Hmm.
and one of them is patience. And so if he's making a decision that I don't really get, then I expect there to be patience exercise and like
To
breaking
explain
it
it.
down to me. Why is it that this is in our best interest? And then we can go to God with it together. And then I think we can move from there. That's what I think. Vicky, what do you think? Or anybody else?
But like, why you keep drag me in at this like me married.
You're the
That's what
closest, but
the
everybody,
thing, the
ladies,
thing,
the man them want some guidance. These men
whatever.
are looking
That
wives. What is that?
the thing that I would say, Joshua, is that if you're going to reach a point in your relationship where you're married, there should be a level of building there. There should be some foundation there where when you get to a point, somebody, the same submission argument. I heard a pastor say something, a female pastor say, because I know that I'm supposed to submit to my husband, I need to know what I'm submitting under before I accept to marry you. So I need to know what your character is. I need to understand what your goals are. I need to know what kind of person you are at heart. When nobody else is looking, who are you? And when I can
Okay.
submit to you, when we get to the point of marriage and a strong relationship, I believe, in my opinion, that I should be able to trust you even when I'm not. You understand? Fully understanding. So okay, babe, talk to me about this. You understand? Like we should reach a point where we understand each other so much. Like Alana said, you should be able to easily talk about it. And you come to me and say, Vicky, say, I have an idea and break it down. And you say, all right, me not fully understand it because me no know tech and me no know this and me no know that, but me trust you because
Yeah.
the time we've spent together, I trust that you will always look out for us. You know what I mean? And if you know, say because some of we nobody's perfect. You know them way there. So if you know, say sometime your husband have a problem, like for example, I spend on food, like I am a foodie, I will not splurge on anything else. I don't splurge on clothes, I don't splurge on anything, but I will splurge on food. You understand? And I have a friend that will splurge on gadgets. And we understand that about each other. So when he see me go for my wallet and I pay for food, him just like, oh my gosh, me leave you alone. But whenever he's going to buy something, I can understand that if somebody needs help, he will put the money away for this new laptop and help this person. You understand? I just know him heart. You know what I mean? And then, but at the same time, say, if him have the money for waste, if you not careful, whoever gets the blessing of marrying that person, if you not careful, you need to watch your pocket because that man will spend on a very expensive laptop. And if you understand who that person is, you kind of work with them to make them better, if you know what I'm trying to say. So to answer your question, Joshua, I think that some of us are rushing into relationships too quickly without fully understanding the person you're trying to build this with. And if I'm at a point of marriage with this person, I should be able to trust his decisions after a conversation. Like Alena said, he shouldn't be making any big decisions without involving me in the first place. But at the same time, even if, Alena, to your point, I don't 100% understand it, I can still trust that the man I have married, I can trust his decisions. I can submit myself to his decisions, having built that foundation. My
Okay, no,
opinion,
no,
my
no,
opinion.
that's what I was trying to understand. I wasn't saying that he's the person gonna make decisions behind your back or without your counsel. But it was beyond that point where you've already discussed it and maybe you still don't like the decision or you prefer a different decision if now that you know that listen, this person is going to, as you said, always be putting the family and you first. It's hard to speak in whatever person I'm speaking in since I'm not a woman. So yeah, that you know that the person or the man will put you, his wife, interest first with the decisions that he's making and the family at large. So yeah, that's all I wanted to understand. Thank you.
Let me read out the snippet of something I find real quick, and then we get back because I know it's already 10. Well, here, and yeah, I don't want to keep you guys too long. But I saw this. I just forgot to mention it earlier because I didn't think it was relevant at the time, but now it is. So here we go. It's about dating, but it's about like the context of this chapter still. So it goes. The time of harvest was over, and so it has to do with verse 1 to 2, actually. So the time of harvest was over, and certainly Ruth and Boaz had been around each other, much in weeks covering the barley and the wheat harvest. They had the opportunity to get to know each other. However, according to the customs of the day, we can't say that Ruth and Boaz were dating in the way that we think dating is in our modern culture. They were not paired off as a couple, one-on-one time with each other. Rather, they spent time together in the context of a group, the men and women who worked for Boaz in the harvest. From God's perspective, there is much in the dating game that works against forming healthy, lasting relationships. For many people, dating means a continual making and breaking of casual romantic relationships, patterns that teach us more how to end relationships than to make them last. Additionally, dating can be a relatively superficial way to get to know someone. Each person in a dating relationship tends to put on a mask for each other. For example, many women have been deceived into thinking a man is good, nice man because he is nice to them in a dating relationship. Of course he is. Often he's nice because he wants something in that dating relationship, but it's better to measure the man or the woman to see how they act towards others in a group setting because sooner or later that is how they will treat you. So over the period of the harvest, Ruth and Boaz got to know each other pretty well by seeing what kind of people they were around each other in big groups. So as I was saying to Brandon that she already knew Boaz was a good guy because she was working with him, and he already knew that Ruth was of noble character because he saw her work for all those weeks, but they weren't dating. And that goes back to even like Vicky was saying, her friend, like she knows her friend, right? Because you're probably seeing group settings and they hang out and everything. Like seeing how someone treat others is so important if you're for us young people, if you're ever dating somebody, it's very important to see and observe how the person you're with treats other people and not just you because you're probably their like favorite person right now, but how they treat everybody else around them, especially like not in good terms when they talk to you about their friendships, like how they treat people, like do they hold malice, they hold grudges, do they seek revenge, you know what I mean? Maybe not towards you, but if they seek it towards other people and they're sharing that with you, red flag, red flag, red flag. So that's just something I wanted to share because it was right in front of me. Yeah. Anybody have anything else before we move on to verse? Where are we? 5. Oh, Brandon, is your question all answered? Because I know you started the conversation and we don't hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely answered. And I'd just say as well, the principles of God in the Bible make sense on their own, but when you kind of put them together, it kind of creates this beautiful tapestry. So, for example, in scripture where it says, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, God isn't saying that simply because Him feel like saying it, but He understands that in the context of a relationship where one has to submit to another, it's easier when both of you are walking the same path. And so, if from day one you recognize in your head, all right, God's word said, looks, me and this person need to be walking in agreement in terms of the word. And frankly, if I find somebody who is walking the will of God, then submitting to them would be easy if I also intend to walk the will of God. So all the principles of God make sense.
Amen, amen, brother. All right, moving on to verse 5. I will do whatever you say, Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother in law told her to do. So she went, she uncovered the feet, and she laid down. Here it kind of just reinforces the point that Ruth, she's a woman of commitment as well. She said she's going to do what she said she's going to do, she's going to do it, right? And she's obedient to Naomi. Yeah, this is here. So Ruth humbly and wisely received the counsel of her mother in law. And yeah, I read on to verse 6 and 9. Yeah, so she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother in law told her to do. So, can someone read verse 7 to 8, please?
Sure. What version are we reading from?
I'm NIV, but you can read whatever you have, it's fine.
All right, 1 second. Give me a second. This thing decides it's gonna glitch, so I'm just refreshing it real quick.
No problemo.
All right.
Yeah, so verse 7 to 8.
Verse 7 to 8. Okay, tell
Mm-hmm.
me when I open by the tab if you guys can still hear me. When Boaz had finished eating, can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
Okay, when Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. That was the two verses. It was really fast.
Yeah. All right, so first things first. Why was Boaz sleeping on the threshing floor? Like, why? And
On
then, because
time.
I was kind of curious, I was like, of all the places for this man to go and sleep, where's his bed? I don't know why I thought of that. Maybe that's just how my brain works, but I was wondering. So I googled it. So in these days, apparently, there were the days of judges, and there was a lot of political unrest and people just thief. So he was actually sleeping there to protect his harvest. And found another verse that talks about that, like people were like looting from the threshing floor. That's in First Samuel 23 verse 1, when David was told, look at the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are looting the threshing floor. So back in those days, people just thief, and so that's why Ruth knew exactly where to find Boaz when Naomi said go to the threshing floor, because they knew that that's where he would sleep, because back in those days people just thief and the man have to secure him things. But besides that,
But isn't that kind of weird, Elena? Like, why are these people stealing? Like, you can literally, the law is you can literally go in the field and pick what's left for you, and there's literally no need to steal
I
whatsoever.
don't know. I don't know why they
It's
would
easier to steal
steal,
what's
but
already gathered.
they gathered. They gathered. Maybe they would gather too much. Brandon, like maybe if he didn't protect it, people would come and just gather more than he would want them to gather, because then he need enough to. So I
I
must
mean,
say them days and them just come out of famine. So right now people just hungry. So people that take up more than they need to take up. That's just what I'm thinking. I don't know. I was curious because I was like, why is he not sleeping in like a bedroom, or like a little house? Why is he sleeping after him been eaten and belly full, sleeping overnight on a threshing floor? But that's pretty much why. If you guys are ever wondering, is because people thief. But yeah, is there anything? Okay, so at this point, Ruth already lied down. So is there anything else you guys think about this verse?
I like how he was very. I feel like it's a modest thing to like wonder. The first thing to ask is why is the woman is here, and nothing else was running through his thoughts. Like it was almost of a matter of concern. Like why is she here? You know,
Mm-hmm.
at
Yeah,
my
because
feet at
I
that.
think God said this is not a place for a woman to sleep. though.
I know, man.
The threshing floor, like why as a man, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I see somebody lay down on my foot, first of all, if it's another man, this look weird. Like, why is another man lying at my foot? But it's not another one, it's a woman. So I'm just like, wait, that is even weirder because
Like, can
why
I do something that
on the
I'm not?
floor sleeping with me. Yeah, exactly. And
Exactly.
to answer your earlier question, Brandon, you have to remember that the leftovers is really, remember when you're harvesting, things will fall. It's not a lot that would fall. If you read back chapter 2, Boaz actually instructed his workmen to purposefully let more things fall so that Ruth could take them up. But so in that, if you take that context, you would realize that not a lot of things will fall, and what people would do is just take up what is left over and go sell it somewhere in the market to make them own little money. So it's not a lot of things will fall. So then, if you don't guard your harvest, people will come and steal the actual harvest, which is the good stuff, not what has just been dropped. So that's why it would be good.
That's right, Vicky. No, say no the farming things, them, you know.
Yeah. This is kind of like an aside, not really a point, but I find it interesting that somebody of Boaz's status doesn't simply send one of his servants or slaves to do this job. Like, he isn't too proud to be able to do the little man's job too. So I think that's like another check in Boaz's favor. Like last week we were talking about like ticking those boxes. Yeah, here's
Mhm.
Boaz again, expressing almost the same humility that Ruth does, in the sense that he isn't too big and too proud to do the little man's work too.
Exactly. And let me read verse 9 before I go on to my other point. So let me take it from 8. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. Who are you? He asked. I am your servant Ruth, she said. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are my guardian redeemer of our family. So now this part important. Remember what I was talking about earlier with the guardian redeemer. So remember how she literally entitled, is entitled the right word? Like, I don't want to say entitled to Boaz marrying her. That kind of sound weird. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not like she's over asking right now, right? And like before, when Naomi was sending her, she was preparing to do this because she knew that this was Boaz's like responsibility to her family, pretty much. But imagine you're sleeping in the middle of the night and somebody take off, unwrap your foot and just come lie down. It's very strange, you know. That's why the man frightened, because like, why are you here? And back to the humility point, she goes, I am your servant Ruth. Servant, right? She's showing that I am submitting to you again, because servants submit, right? So she's showing submission again here and humility. Lying down at somebody's foot is a big showcase of humility here and submission, right? Anything else you guys get from it? What about the uncovering of the feet? Anybody have a verse that link to that? Anybody have it? No?
Is that
No?
wash? Are you referring to the person washing Jesus's feet? Is that what you're referring to?
Mm-mm. Not that
Okay.
one. Anybody? No worries. I'll share it. I didn't know this one either. I didn't know this one either. So it comes here. So, under your wing, you guys know that terminology. So here she boldly asks Boaz to take her hand in marriage. Here's what she proposed, you know. We know, so no, we're not good at them thing there nowadays, but here's what she did propose, you know. And the phrase can also be translated as spread the corner of your garment over me. This was culturally relevant way to say, I'm a widow, take me as your wife. She was literally saying to Boaz, here, Wagwan, I'm a widow, you're the family redeemer, you're the guardian redeemer, you're the goal, do your duty to me, please. And I'm showing you that I'm in submission, humility. Like, please do this for me. The spreading of the skirt over the widow as a way of claiming her as a wife is a test among Arabs of early days, and it says it still exists in some modern Arab cultures, which I think I've seen here. Because what about the Arabs here? Like, you spread the garment over, and that's how you show that you've taken someone as your wife. And then here, as you can see on the screen, Ezekiel 16, verse 8, God used the same terminology in which to Israel, I spread my wing over you and covered your nakedness. I swore an oath to you and entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine, says the Lord God. So it's kind of like the spreading of the wing, like the spreading, like the garment, like oval, right? Is pretty much the lightness here. So again, the whole security thing of like, I covered your nakedness, I swore an oath and a covenant with you, and you became mine. Here, she's gonna become his wife if he actually does his duty to her. Does that make sense? Or am I reaching? Okay. All right, cool. Gonna must tell me if I don't make sense, we're here to learn. But yeah. Anybody have anything else to say before we move on to verse 10? Anybody? All right, somebody read verse 10 for me then, please. Anybody?
Yes, I read.
Oh, June,
Oh,
thank you.
Verse 10. Then he said, May you be blessed of the Lord, my daughter. You have shown your life's kindness to be better than the first by not going after young men, whether poor or rich.
Okay, what do you guys get from that?
From this, like, I think where it says like you have not run after younger men, whether rich or poor, I think it's probably showing that there's an age difference between Boaz and Ruth, like a probably big age difference.
There was apparently. No. We read 9. Like I read 9 myself. When I said I am your servant, the submission part, guys, I read 9. But I can just read it over again if I don't know. So I am your
okay.
servant Ruth, he said. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are the guardian redeemer of our family. The Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. The kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after younger men, whether rich or poor. The kindness is greater than what you showed earlier. Which earlier we talking about here, so? The Ruth 1 and 2 people.
Mm.
Which kindness is he talking about? This kindness is greater than that you showed earlier.
The kindness to his mother-in-law, to her mother-in-law.
From Naomi.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Where's the word I was supposed to tell you guys
Can
about?
you read how my Bible put it? Which is why I'm afraid I have Bible here. My Bible says, Boaz reached for his robe, gently put it around her shoulders, and whispered, Ruth, the Lord bless you. You're showing even greater commitment to Naomi's family by doing this than when you first came to live in Israel. You had a perfect right to stay back home with your own people to find a husband, but you didn't. As beautiful as you are, you could have a much younger man for a husband than I, even a much richer man. But you came with Naomi to Israel to live in poverty. Is my Bible wicked? All
Them
of that.
come
I'm,
strong
I'm
at
still
first.
translating all of that.
Them
Yeah,
come on strong at first,
whoever wrote
sister.
that.
I'm not lying. They come on strong there, so I kind of strong because how them come now and come talk about poverty. But Boaz is poor.
But I love it still. I love that translation.
I don't think
That's
he's poor
that's
though.
that's quite the translation.
No man, that's strong. No, I never get same poor from this. Anybody else get say Boaz poor?
I just cause him a farmer man, they might come try call him
Them
poor.
a
No,
come
but
call farmer big career back then.
Let me I say.
Even
but
right
it,
now, right now you won't be a farmer. You're
You
my
know
farmer.
food prices high in Canada right now. Oh, farmer.
Right now, if you're a farmer, just anyway, come. What you say, Rob? What you say, Rob?
no, I was saying what Vicky was saying. He was saying that you could find someone richer than I am. So I never say poor. Just somebody you can find somebody richer.
No, Vicky Virgin say you come
Poverty
here to live
part.
in poverty.
No, because
Yeah,
she
but
never
with
come.
him,
She never come with the intention to live in riches. She
That's
came
true. That's
with,
true.
with Naomi, and Naomi not have nothing. So poverty, she come in now.
True. Apologies coming up with true.
Okay.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, so what do you guys say about here now? That I don't know. When I read this part, I was saying she really did trust Naomi because she trusted Naomi to secure her future, you know. Because really and truly, because as Boaz said, you could early the son of God, you never have to come all this way to marry me. You could have somebody younger and richer. But I think it's because of that obedience to Naomi and that trust that this is really what was supposed to happen, why she went through with this path and never stay home. What else do you guys get from this? From verse 10. And as yeah, and then as Rob did say, Boaz is kind of old. Anybody, anything else? Do I have any notes on this? Let me see something. Somebody read verse 11 for me.
I can read it. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character.
Mm-hmm. So I'm come now complimenting her. And we already know, say, Ruth a normal woman, right? All the people of the town know that you are a virtuous woman. Boaz was also attracted to Ruth because of her character. We don't know how Ruth looked. Well, Vicky Bible know, but we don't really know how Ruth looked. how Ruth looked. But we do know that she was a woman of godly character. Literally, Boaz called Ruth a Halil woman. I need to learn these pronunciation. The basic meaning in this Hebrew word is strength, moral strength, good quality, integrity, and virtue. I don't know. I like pulling for the Hebrew, like where the Hebrew version of verses because I don't know. I think it give you that raw context of how it would really go. You know. So it's Halil. It's. Do I have it on the slide? Let me see. Maybe I do. Let's see if I do. Yeah, I do. I have it here. Yeah, so you can write it down if you want. So yeah, so he called her a Halil woman, and the basic meaning is strength, moral strength, good quality, integrity, and virtue. It's the same word used for the term heroes in the Bible, a mighty man of valor. Just a courage and strength make a man a hero. So Ruth's courage and strength show her virtue, make her a hero in Proverbs 31, kind of definition of a woman of virtue. So here we again see that Ruth is a woman of character. Because again, like Boaz saw Ruth come into the field. Remember, said she come in and just take up behind the people. Them, you know, she never really said nothing at the time. And then him say, "Oh, who's that girl over there picking up behind everybody?" You know what I mean? And if from there he could say, this woman has humility. She come and she don't have nothing and she trying because you can't really do much as a woman back then, right? But she did what she could do to still make sure that she and Naomi had food, and she went and she picked up behind. I remember how when she pick up behind, how much it even leave over. Remember? So all of this stuff, he could see from then that she was someone who was determined. She had good integrity because even when she approached him, she's like, "Can I like pick from here?" You know what I mean? Like she not even just pick and run away. So even though you're allowed to pick, as Brandon said, she was still someone who approached with like, she was respectable. She was a noble woman, and Boaz could see her character from a long, long time. So especially in this moment when he's like, "Bless you, my daughter." I found the word "my daughter" kind of weird here, to be honest, because I'm like, she's literally asking you to marry her. I don't know why he's the word daughter, but anyway, that's just me. So the "bless you, my daughter," he replied, "the kindness is greater than that of which you showed earlier. You have not run after younger men, whether rich or poorer. Yes, you hold it out." And as Vicky Bible did say, literally, she hold out with Naomi, right? And did great service to Naomi's family by holding out. And now she even doing greater service to marry back into the family. She never run away from Naomi family, none at all. Here, so that's something you can take away from here. So that was verse 11. Can somebody read 12 and 13 for me, please? Anybody?
I'll read again. I don't know.
All right, ready?
12 and 13 or just 12?
Both of them, 12 and 13.
Okay, 12. Although it is true that I am a guardian redeemer of our family, there is another who is more closely related than I. Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good. Let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning. What?
Mm-hmm. So I'll go on here so now, people. Wanna get from here, so.
No,
Anybody?
it kind of shows Boaz's character even more because the fact that he acknowledges that there's someone else and stuff instead of just take up Ruth and just because obviously him like Ruth, so he could just
Mm-hmm.
go with her. But the fact that he acknowledges that there's someone else, like there's a certain set rule to follow, you can see that he's a guy who follows by the rules, by the law and everything. So it just shows his character even more here.
Perfectly said. That's exactly the point I have, Rav. Like, just he was willing to do it the cultural way. He could have just said, "Okay, Ruth, tomorrow we just married and done." But he's like, "No, there is somebody who rightfully should marry before me. So we're gonna ask him first, and if he doesn't do it, I'll do it." So he's like, he's not even saying, "Go and go check that brother," and then so it go. You know what I mean? He said, if he doesn't do it, I will be sure to do it. So he's a man of honor. You know what I mean? Like, he's willing to fulfill his duty. Remember, say him never did have no plans for marry no woman, because your husband gone a Moab and everything, and then now him gone, and she come back. He had no plans to marry somebody, but he's like, I acknowledge that this is my responsibility to you and your family, and I'm gonna do it. So there's somebody else I need to do it, but if him say no, don't worry, because I have you. I will do it, and I will make sure you're taken care of. And as you said, Rob, that shows Boaz' character. I really like Boaz. Men, just take some little notes. But yeah, he take the notes, guys, take the notes. Because he said, listen, like, I know my responsibility, and I'm gonna make sure you're okay no matter what. So either that guy take you up, or if him don't take you up, then I take you up. And I really love that he doesn't like just saying, "Oh, it's not me, so go on about your business." Because some people are like that. They're like, "Oh, it's not really my responsibility right now, so you're on your own." He's like, "No, I got you. Because you come to me like this, don't worry, I'm gonna make sure so you're sort out." And he's like, "Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good. Let him redeem you. But if not, willingly, as surely as the Lord lives, so man still look here, me I go do it. Lie here until the morning." And he made sure she had somewhere to sleep. He never sent her home. Right? He said, "Stay here until the morning, and then tomorrow we sort it out." So I think that was like really beautiful. That moment where, you know, anybody have something to add? Vicky, your Bible's nothing else that we didn't cover.
Alina, Kayla made a really good point in the chat that I think kind of adds some context to the daughter question that you had before. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's the point Caitlin highlighted is the fact that he respected the boundaries of the relationship that they had because at the time they weren't no boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and
Mm-hmm.
wife. At the time, he was still very much the owner of the field, and this was somebody who was coming to glean from the field. So it would have been perfectly appropriate for him to refer to her as daughter, um, because that was the confines of their relationship at the time. And he understood that he could not assume the role of relationship because he understood that there was somebody else who was ahead of him in terms of the line who could redeem her first. And so again, I think that's another tick in the character favor of Boaz in the sense that he understood the boundaries of the relationship and he understood as well that he couldn't, as much as, and again, this is from the male's perspective, whereas, I'm sure he very much would have liked Ruth. He didn't allow those feelings to control the way he acted, but he still acted from a place of principle.
Mm-hmm. Very true, very true. Thank you for that, Caitlin. Yeah, you're right. I love that, love that. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any points? We'll move on to verse 14. Let me see, what was verse 14? Okay, so verse 14. So she lay at his feet until morning. Okay, I don't know why she was at his feet. Okay, let me get into it. So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized, and he said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." Why did he want anybody to know that she came to the threshing floor?
I
Hmm?
think, is it to protect her virtue? Do you think so?
I don't think it's to protect her virtue because I think they're both honorable people. I think it was because she never won this the other guy.
Oh,
That's
that's
what
a
I
good,
was thinking
that's a
because, you
thing.
know,
Hmm.
I mean, not like say Ruth didn't know about him, you know. It's not like she didn't know and then she purposely said, "Oh, I never want you. I'm going straight to Boaz." But she never really know, right? These rumors says Naomi sent her, and probably Naomi not even realize that guy, but or she probably just noticed Boaz and said Boaz is the more suitable choice. Who knows how it did really go? But I feel like it's to protect the other guy, just because she will now have to approach the other guy now, and then if him do work out, then she go back to Boaz. So it kind of look away if everybody knows that she already got to Boaz, and then no, she has circled back. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird. Like that's what I was thinking, but could be a virtue thing. I don't know. Let me see. Let me see what my notes over here to say. Uh, oh yes, it is. It says Boaz and Ruth were not trying to hide anything scandalous, but it was just that Boaz didn't want the nearer king's man to learn that Ruth was now demanding her right to marriage to a goal before Boaz could tell him personally. So I think Boaz wanted to do the instructing. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't feel like it's promiscuity. Like I didn't think that because some just tell me say Boaz was just that guy who nobody really feel like he would be that guy because he works with so many women. If he was gonna be a promiscuous guy, like I'm probably gonna do it already, but who knows? I don't know. I just didn't really think about it that way. I feel like if he was worried about that, he would have sent her away from in the night. You know, and like just get her at the same time. Because then if she sleep there, you know, it give you even more premise to assume that something going on that's scandalous. So would he not just send her home same time from in the night? But anyway, it could be either one, guys. Who knows? So she laid at his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized, and said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." He also said, "Bring me the shawl you are wearing and hold it out." When she did so, he poured into it 6 measures of barley and placed the bundle on her. Then she went back to town. What are we getting from here? Hmm? Anything, guys? I'm tired. It's Sudan, you know? Okay.
Or set her up, man. Like that's all jokes aside. I was just like, even at this point in time, he's still thinking to set her up, like make sure she's all right, and she's just like, and him have style too, because him just use her thing and say, hold on to this, and I was like, hey, he was a very resourceful person as well, you know. That's what I was thinking.
Hmm. Yeah, he didn't send her home empty-handed to Naomi, because him know says Naomi sent her, him well I know. So he didn't send her back empty-handed, which I really did like. Again, it speaks to God's character. They're both very noble people. If I'm seeing here, I'm seeing a lot of humility showed here, a lot of respect, a lot of honor, a lot of virtue. I'm seeing all of that played out between both of them, and I really like that here. What did I just read? Oh yes, that was 15. When Ruth came to her, the 16 now, when Ruth came to her mother-in-law Naomi, asked, "How did it go, my daughter?" Then she told her everything Boaz had done and added, "He gave me 6 measures of barley, saying, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Same thing.
And then I comment on the previous verses. Uh,
Mhm.
and again, just commenting on Boaz's character, you kind of realize that he doesn't have any ulterior motives here. And here's why I say what I say. He continues to be good to Ruth, knowing full well that this other guy can claim the right and she will be his wife.
Mhm.
Meaning there's no certainty in all of this that she is going to end up being Boaz's wife, but he still continues to be the virtuous man that he has been from his introduction into the chapter. And so you see, he's not being nice simply to win Ruth's hand in marriage, but simply because Boaz is just a good guy who just continues to act on the principles and not out of, all right, I'm gonna do this so that I can win her over. Some guys would be like, all right, I'm gonna be nice to her so she'll choose me. But here, at the end of the day, he knows full well that this other guy could be the guy that ends up being her husband, but that doesn't get in the way of him still showing kindness to Ruth.
Mhm. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, again, Boaz is a really noble guy because, as I said, there's no obligation here because it could go either way. But again, as you said, he had no motive from the get go. He never ever planned to really marry Ruth. Like it was never. He never. At no point did he assert. I feel like he even knew his he knew responsibility, but until she wanted it, I feel like he wouldn't even say nothing. You know what I mean? Like he could have taken her up as wife and approached her. He never take Ruth to go lie down at him foot, to marry. Like if he were to just like think hard enough, like you'd have realized that okay, Ruth's husband was my brother or cousin, whatever it was, right? And from there, he could have actually started to say, "Hey, let me take you as my wife." He had every right to do it just the same. If the roles were reversed, he had every right, but he didn't. He waited on her to come. I don't know. I would think that was like something I thought of, that it was like Ruth being in pursuance of him, for the security, but he technically could have just been like, yo, my girl, say really and truly, it would be my wife because of just how it go. I think it could have gone that way as well, based on the tradition.
What are you guys' thoughts on that though? Of Ruth kind of doing the pursuing, because modern day perspective is, the
I
man
know
doesn't
you're
need to
coming at
pursue
it,
women.
Brandon.
So
You're
it's his
coming.
own.
I see you creeping up, and I say, "What, Brandon? No, watch him, watch him."
Hold on. What did Brandon say?
Brandon, what is our thoughts on the modern day, like women pursuing men? What's our thoughts on that? Because Ruth do it here, so how we feel. Ladies, you go on. I'm not making Brandon draw me out.
I actually want to flip the question on you, Brandon. What do you think of that?
Ma'am, that's not how this works. I asked the question. Yeah, no
Julie,
putting
that's
that in.
unfair. You have to answer it first, and then Brandon can give his take on how him feel. Okay, Julie, what is your take on it? Like pursuing a man. You see a man out there and he's like, he earns well, he's a man of God, and he's in ministry, he's fruits of the spirit, everything, but you're seeing him, but he's not seeing you, right? Because of for whatever reason. Would you pursue a man?
Oh, Jano. Honestly, where I am right now, I don't think I would. I don't think I would. If it's all right, if I've already put out there that hey, I like you realize that I like you, but you're not doing anything about it, that's just it right there. I'm not going to push it any further.
No, but we're not talking about all right, how you even show him say you like him, Julie? What is you like two picture and just leave it like what is it? What is this?
Right?
No, I mean you can still be direct. All right, let's say
That's
it's
what I mean.
someone in
Like,
the
would you let
church.
a man know that you're interested in him before he lets it know that he's interested in you?
Yeah. Question mark, question mark.
No,
Yes.
just say yes
I
and
can
hope
Depends
for
tell
it.
on
you
how
know
I
in my
feel.
chest. I can tell you know in my chest, Brandon. If that's what you want somebody to do with in chest, no, no. He who finds a wife, heavy, 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 heavy. Right, Vicky?
So you're
Tell
saying
them
the
what
fine, very emphasis on the fines means that we must look for it.
you must open up your eye. No, women present themselves strategically in front of men sometimes.
Basically.
You may not.
Keywords. Hold on to these keywords. Continue.
That's just what I think. As Julie said, like she made it known, like she's in the vicinity. What you said, Caitlin? I heard old people used to say women do subtle things to get noticed by men. Yes, it's the same thing right now. Women do subtle things to make it known. Maybe don't come unwrap your foot and lie down at it, but women like make it known that they want to be pursued by you all the time. Just like talking to you consistently, stuff like that. I think it's like okay. Here's the thing, Brandon. I think that the woman's way of pursuing a man is different than how a man pursues a woman. Like the strategies are different. Like a woman, like as Julie said, she make it known. Julie probably mean that she even just like in him presence and talk to him a couple times. Like for me, it could mean literally I'm just talking to you consistently, or I made the effort to hang out with you, or something, or I follow you on Instagram and I like two picture. That that is pursuit for me. That is the height of it. But I expect a man There's effort, exactly, Julie, but I expect a man to pursue me. If you want me, you need to make it known with your chest because you're the man. You need to make it known with your chest so you like me. Like, why am I doing all this work? I don't know. That's just like what I think personally. I don't know. I just don't believe we should be pursuing men. I think men should be pursuing women. I think you can present yourself and make yourself available, make it known you're available for pursuit, but you shouldn't be doing the pursuing. That's just what I think, personally, as a woman in her 20s. Anybody else? I'm just kind of out here on my own, guys. Somebody said something
I
around.
have.
What do you think?
Oh,
Let me see
Me,
who's here because I don't have the full list open right now, so that's the issue right now. Let me see who is here.
I
Yes,
think I
yes,
think
guys, talk.
I think it can go both ways. Like I don't have a problem pursuing someone because sometimes, like how you say, you do subtle things and whatever. You can't assume that a man is gonna pick up on that. Sometimes you just have to be straight up
There's
and be
that.
like, hey, I like you. Do you like me? If you don't like me, then okay, bye. You know what I mean? You can't assume that you're
Rejection.
gonna know that. And at the same time, too, some men, I think, just like how sometimes we as women we're scared to pursue a man because of getting rejected and whatever. Sometimes that's how it is for men too. Like they don't want to shoot their shot because, you know, look at this nice girl. Oh my God, why would she want me and all that stuff? You know what I mean? So they probably won't shoot their shot. So if you want to shoot your shot, girl, shoot your shots. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the thing is, it's not like you go run down the man and look desperate. It's just letting
Yeah.
them know that, I like you. It'd be
I do
cool if
not
something
like
could
that
happen.
word, desperate.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying so
I
you
don't like that
constantly just
word.
running him down.
What is running him down though, Julie? That's the thing. So it's like it's as I say, it's just like I think men and women have a
Constant,
different way of pursuing.
constantly going back to him
Yeah, like
every time he says no.
if he reject you, just don't
Over
tell
and over
him.
like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. If anybody rejects you, male or like man or woman, like don't go back.
Yeah.
Don't try again.
Yeah.
Nobody them don't want you. There's no
That's
point.
not what the book of
But
Hosea says.
but the,
Oh, okay. That
Oh
is
my
true.
Ooh.
God.
what is it, Vicky?
Bring it up, Vicky. Bring it up. We always need the scripture to back it up. Bring it up. Bring it up.
Who knows the story of Hosea? It's Hosea, Brandon.
Same one. A matter of fact, Julie can tell you the story
Where
because
him
Julie
set
was telling me the other day.
the prostitute, take her out of prostitution, married her, have kids with her, and she left, and him go back for her.
Them that different days.
so when you say modern days now is also the woman must pursue
I'm
because
sorry. Like I'm heavy under them the days because sometimes, guys, you need to take these stories as lessons. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Is listen, Vicky not going to know man foot and unwrap it and lay down at it. Okay, we know this. Nobody here is doing that. So I'm just saying you can't take you can't
Who
take.
said so? Who said I wouldn't do it?
If you do that, video call me. If you do, video call me, and then I will come back to this group and say on May 13th at 10:55 Toronto time, Elena Bill was wrong. Okay, video call me when you do it, Vicky, because that's I'm telling you, I know you're not gonna do it. But I'm just saying it's like I don't know. I feel like yes, I understand that, but again, it's like she left him. Remember, say again, like adultery and them something there. If someone left you and gone with somebody else, you don't really have to take
Yes,
them back.
she left him and went back into prostitution.
Oh, it's prostitution. Oh, yes, it's true. It's
Read
prostitution.
it. It is a very interesting story. And
I'm gonna read
funny,
it.
that story is said to reflect our relationship with Christ,
Mm-hmm.
who we continue to reject him, and
And go
he
back. Mm-hmm.
keeps coming back to find us.
Rejection.
So interesting stuff.
But you see what you said? It is for our relationship with Christ that different. Remember, same love us no matter what. This is not my relationship with some man. No, this is different something. It's not the same thing. No, that story does reflect our relationship with Christ because enough time we sin and we run away and then you know what I mean? And then we come back on our knees and say, God, please, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again the next week. You know what I mean? So with all of that stuff, that definitely reflects it. But again, I tell you, remember, take these stories. Take the stories as stories sometime and know when to apply them where. But I don't think if you know your worth, you know what I mean? Remember we have identity in Christ. You know what I'm trying to say? and you have worth, and you know what you're worth. If a man treating you like bread back, why are you gonna keep going back every single time? It's like, why would you do that? No matter how much you like him, he does not want you, and because of
Have a
that,
good.
he's never gonna love you like Christ of the church anyway. So there's no point in going back. So if a man reject you, listen, men, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, and Joshua, and is Noel still here? I don't know. What whoever else on here? I have my screen fully open, so I don't know who like everybody's here. Men know a lot of the times, after the first couple interactions, if them really rate you to the point where they could actually see you getting married with you, getting married to you. Do you know, Brandon, after like 2 dates, a girl that you like, could I really marry this girl? I don't think you need, like, men know way quicker than women. We are the ones that are very indecisive all the time, the women. Like, we're like, oh my God, like, do I really like him? Like, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's a little ugly. Like, like, that's how women are. But men, a lot of the times, like to observe women and take all this bag of time, and in their approach after they don't observe you, and they're like, yeah, man, are you? And then after like a couple days, they're like, no, son, are you? Men like to waste your time. Okay, men like to waste woman time. Brandon, you know,
Yo,
so it's
the
true. You
conversation
don't
just
friend
up
them.
to get this
Brandon,
switch
not
up.
Brandon.
Sound very
Joshua,
heated.
it's
First,
true.
but
Men
no,
know
wait,
quicker.
hold on. All right, you get a chance. All right,
Come
first let's
on.
break this up.
Talk,
You
talk,
take.
talk,
I
Joshua.
hear. I hear you put when you put your examples. You use a lot of extremes, like you're treating it like this. I was like, all right, stop bringing up the extremes because those are gift. We're talking about two people of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we are.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, men will easily say that this is a girl that they'll marry, but I also feel like people can judge by if they have discernment whether or not they're worthy people of being married. That doesn't mean that they are the right person to marry. Like for you, you're just saying that for when men say I would admire, we mean that they're wife material, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that they're necessarily the wife for us.
Yes, yes.
So to say that, I mean, you jump on and say men like to waste women time. I think women like the chase and will actually engage in the time wasting a lot more than that. But maybe it's all subjective to each person, because some men like to put women on shelf and whenever them ready, them take them. But some women
Mm-hmm.
just like to keep being pursued because they feel like it gives them that buzz of importance. But that's also another thing to break down. So
Brandon is cracking me up, guys.
I mean,
Brandon is cracking
um,
me up.
Brandon, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm too critical with this. So give me
No,
another
Joshua,
take on
I
this.
understand what you're saying, but you see what you said though. Like you can tell if a woman is someone worthy. I don't mean so this is the girls. I don't mean that when I say men know who they would marry, I don't mean that they know when they met this girl 2 dates in that this is the woman that they're going to marry 100%. I mean that they can identify early on if this is the kind of woman that they would marry. If
So are
she
you saying that
has
you
the
guys aren't
qualities
capable of?
and they still stay with her and waste their time when they know say
No, then how is that waste of time if you want to figure out if she's the one for
you
you?
ain't gonna
Then
figure it out. You know, man. You know.
man,
Brandon,
we just explain
talk
to
to
her.
that
Say,
talk,
all
Brandon.
right,
Come in now. Come in now.
come in,
Brandon,
Brandon, because
Brandon,
she
Here, I don't know
disagree with my
why Brandon
point,
keep
and then
doing
we
this from
switch.
night. Every time him come bring up one of these topics. I don't know how he's
Yeah, I
doing it.
remember next time just to not bring up any of these because there it go cause all kind of problem. But just my own 2 cents about it. Um, I respect Alina's point of view in terms of what she decides to do in terms of the idea of pursuing and who is pursued. All I'll say is that I can't speak for any other guy, but I just think it's my responsibility to do the pursuing. But in the same breath, I also think that, in women's minds, when sometimes they think they're being subtle in just think that guys are blind sometimes and we can't always pick up on your subtleties. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, sometimes it's right in your face. Like I've seen like women pursue men like the subtle way, but it's not even subtle. It's like right in your face. And it's like, as you said, Julie, oblivious. It's like what else you need is like you need it right on a chalkboard, and we just put you in the front seat in
Yeah,
the classroom.
yeah.
And it's like it's just so much effort. It's like I don't know
No,
why
do that
anymore.
first before you say I want to put effort.
It's
Do that first.
like I can't bother again. No, I just can't bother again. No. Look here, there's a
I
time to
feel
do
like
one of these
I
things.
feel like I think in this in your scenario or in the general sense that you're giving off is that the time of the ladies is highly more valuable. Like if neither of you get together, then you've
Is
wasted both people's time, right?
no, it is more valuable. And let me tell you why.
Mister.
Because we have a biological clock And you have some women out here who's with men for 7 years with no ring, wasting their time. And then they get out of that relationship. Now they have to unpack. Now they have to heal. Now they break up. And then he's like, you see, Caitlin, no, me, I try to say. And then you have to like take 2 years now, get over him. Now you're 30. You got 2 good years left in you to pop that baby out easy and find a man, date a man, marry the man, then have a child. Do you know how difficult that is? We have a biological clock, and I think a lot of men, especially younger men, sometimes don't approach dating intentionally with that mindset of thinking that, hey, this woman actually has a biological clock, right? Like I can't be dating this woman for years on end, and when me ready now for just, oh, I'm ready to settle down, or I'm ready to have a baby now, it's like on your clock. Your clock is way longer. You can have a baby at 50. But a lot of men, young men, take up women that are younger, and they're on this clock of like, oh, both our time is valuable. It's like we're on the same clock, but you're not on the same clock, Joshua. I'm telling you, you're not on the time. Like I'm not saying like your time is not valuable, right? But at the same time, you have to appreciate, now you're a guy in your 20s. I assume you're in your 20s, that a woman in her 20s is looking to be married probably. This is why women date up. If you guys ever wondered, like men, why women like tend to date men that are older than them, it's because of that reason. There's a reason why sometimes you're trying to get a girl who's probably your age and she won't go for you, because you know that the reality is you probably won't get to like the financial level to take care of her because you're the same age. By the time she's ready to have a kid, to marry her, it's just a reality of the situation. It has nothing to do with your value or if you're a good guy or if she could have like see marry with you. It's just the reality of she knows say she want to have a baby at 28. Can you have a baby at 28? No. This is why women sometimes date up in terms of age and finance because of that biological clock. Ladies, am I wrong? Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Not wrong. And it has nothing to do with your value as men. It just has to do with the reality of our clock. I have to tell the boy that I remember our brethren them here, so I have to tell them how it go, like just so they understand why. This is why you'll see a lot of the people, like other men that don't have no steady girlfriend until they're like all 28, 29, or 27, and they end up with girls who are like even our age, 22, 23, or whatever, because of that gap in terms of like desire. Like when you guys want to have kids versus when they want to have kids. You can decide to have kids at 30, but then your girl's at 20 and then at 30, and then it just makes things kind of hard. Like that's all I'm trying to say. So yes, there is a clock and it's important. And that's why, yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just as a saying.
It
Yeah,
just
that's
goes to show you though that like in terms of all the discussion and all the problems that can result from it, how Christians almost have it easier when we just follow God's leading.
mhm.
Sometimes we kind of set the relationship outside of the walk with Christ, but if there's anything at all that should be, at the top of the list when it comes to what am I submitting to God in prayer, it should be, God, if it's your will, show me who the partner you want for the rest of my life is, and help
Exactly.
me to make the moves when I need to make the moves to that. One of my favorite Bible stories is the story of Abraham when he sent out the steward of his house to go find a wife for his son. That you remember that the steward prayed that God would lead him to where he needs to be, and things have happened exactly as God intended it to be. And that's why I think the relationship between Isaac and Rebecca is such a beautiful representation of what Christian relationships should be about, because it's not, all right, I'm gonna go to my way and go look somebody and this and that, but starting that journey is, God, who do you want me to be with, and lead me
Mm-hmm.
to that person in your time according to your will. And I think Boaz, carrying it back with what we're talking about, Boaz and Ruth, it was a beautiful illustration of that, because it wasn't, all right, Ruth jumping out and saying, all right, I'm ready to go ahead and do this. But it was God allowing these people to meet in such a beautiful way and allowing his will to be done, where people who were focusing on Christ or focusing on their God-given values and ideals for their own lives, God was able to pluck them from where they were, put them where they were supposed to be in the right time. So all of the problem of, all right, this and that and who and age and all of that could be avoided simply with, God said, this is the person that is for me, I'm going to do what God said. Problem solved.
Very true. And I think the other thing is like this intentionality, as I was saying before. I think a lot of Christians go wrong these days, and I guess I'd say myself included. I've been in an unequally yoked relationship, and that was a train wreck, and a train wreck, and a train wreck, and I had to pray, and oh my gosh, it was a lot. Anyway, never again. I'll never do it again because I've learned. That was before I was Christian, so I didn't know any better. But the thing is, dating with intention. Like I was reading somewhere, they're like, if you're a Christian, you should not date unless you're ready to marry. And I was like, what you mean by that? What you mean by that? But it's like they're literally saying it's like, what are you dating for? You know what I mean? It's like, and I had to think about it because I'm like, okay, all right, I'm maths with the maths. Okay, I'm 22. All right, cool. I'm not done with school yet. All right, cool. I mean, I'm money not really up there. You know, am I ready to? Could I have a baby like next year? Just saying, like, you know, I started to like just think about certain things, and I'm like, am I ready to get married? Not really. Like, am I ready to just like have I developed? Have I like fully not develop myself my singleness, because obviously you're still like your individual person after you get married, right? I'm not trying to say you're like not like you're one, but you know you're still like an individual. But like there's so much you can work on by yourself without that, not say distraction, but I think a lot of times you like start to idealize relationships as young people, and then you end up in these relationships, and even if it's a man of God or a woman of God, they may not be the person for you same way, right? And you may have rushed into it, or you may have thought that this was a person for you just because you're like, oh, I'm a Christian now and I've been praying about it, and ooh, look, this man of God is here, like he's definitely my guy. And it's like, no, he's not your guy. You know what I mean? Because like this was not a season for that. So I think there's like, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted about it. I've been trying to think about it, but it's like just like knowing when is the time to date. And then as you were saying, Brandon, you're saying pray to God about it. I mean, God lead you, but it's like imagine God sent you a woman of God like next week, and she had every box checked for you, every single box. She's pretty, she's brilliant, you know what I mean? Whatever, career, great family, rooted in Christ. You know what I mean? Like she have wherever you plan to live in the future, wherever that is. She's like, yeah, I plan to live there too. Like this is where I want to go. Check every box. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you say to yourself, nah, I'm just gonna like not pursue her right now, and she's right in front of you? I think that's like another issue. You guys know what I'm trying to say? It's like the person's still in front of you, and you're like, oh, they check every single box.
Well, I'm then they wouldn't check every single box then if there is still a decision to be made whether they put them off or not. Checking every single box means that we're in line with what we're doing, right? If I'm making
Mm-hmm.
sense.
You
So
mean the date
if
to marry part?
yes, so you
Okay, I
said
see what
that
you're saying.
yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that has to be a part of the box, right? Then if it isn't, then it's this decision. The choice is still clear. They didn't check all the boxes, so you have to keep waiting.
We could just date her. Why not just date her and then one day, one of the
I mean,
feelings
you
will
just
come
we know
and
how date for a couple of how much years now, so it's just like which one you want, miss? You know? Come
I'm
on.
just saying, I'm just saying. It can be conflicting. As Randall said, it's like you always have to go to God in prayer about it. Like, you know, be open, but like still have your discernment lens on at throughout the process of it. Because again, you're human, you're young, in your 20s, you desire companionship. It is a natural desire, and so it's just Vicky. Why you have to do that while ago?
Because according to your math, my biological clock run out. I
I
just
thought
want,
about that and I was like, I wonder if Vicky think that I said her biological clock
I
ran.
know. I just want to
But
submit that I am 34. So according to your math, my biological clock run out 2 years ago. So like, me there's no hope.
no, Vicky, you have hope. You have hope.
No hope.
Everything might just come back. I'm speaking in
I'm enjoying.
generalization. You know what
No,
I'm
no,
talking
no,
about.
I understand. I'm just playing. It's
Okay.
really cool listening to
I
you
don't
guys.
feel like I diss in your talk. I'd never do that. I just mean like generally like women's views. That's like how women think, you know? So just to like educate the guys, you know? Because like enough man out here like really I've seen my guy friends like, oh my gosh, she doesn't like me, she doesn't want me. She's always dating older guys, and I'm like, this is why.
Why would that
This is
hide the
why.
point? I know it's
Like,
easy, but
stop. It's not about you. It's not about you. Like you're 22. It's not about you. She wants a big man that's 28. It's just how it's set up. It's like, don't hurt you, feel bad. Honestly, no, seriously, it's something that you have to talk about, because I've seen a lot of guys that are my age get butthurt about it, and I'm like, it's really not about you. Like you're a good guy. Like I can, like, if you're my friend and you're a guy, you must have been a good guy, and I'm going to take up some. I don't make no sense. As much as I don't want to date you, doesn't mean that you're not a guy of character. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have to tell you guys, because it can hurt your feelings, to be honest. Like it's never a fun time being rejected by somebody. Like, yeah. But this was the end of the verse, though, guys. So, anybody else want to talk about? Let me see if I have any more slides. Hold on. Do I have any more slides? No. Oh, well. Wait. I don't have any more slides? I feel like I have more slides, guys. But this is actually the end of Ruth chapter 3. Oh, yeah, this is a summary of Ruth. A woman of courage, a woman of commitment, a woman of character. Thanks for checking in. We're going to pray now. This is like the group reflection. I think we talked a lot. But is there anything else anybody wants to like talk about before we go and just pray and sing a song if somebody can volunteer to sing on the way out? Or pray, like Rav, I know you wanted to pray earlier, so if you could pray us out as well later, that'd be nice. And Brandon, if you want to sing, nice too. I always like when you sing. You sing, Brandon?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So, but before that, anybody else like have any major takeaways from this chapter that you want to talk about before we close off? I think a big takeaway was just the character. And as we spoke about, like, just as young people and like pursuing relationships and just our life and just how we treat people, I think there was a lot to take away from this in terms of humility, and just like respect as well. Like, just how Ruth respected Naomi throughout this process, how Boaz respected Ruth as well, and just how humble and noble they were. I think it's very admirable, and we should strive to act that way throughout difficult situations, because end of the day, this was a difficult situation was in trying to get out of this whole thing of coming to somewhere you don't know and you're just kind of following instruction of Naomi. You don't really know where you're really gonna go. So just like displaying that character and keeping to that character throughout, I think is something we should think about personally. Yeah. All right. I don't have anything else to say. It was awesome. Brandon, please sing us out. And then Rav, you just follow up with the prayer.
All right. So you guys know that I love my hymns, all the songs. They have such powerful words. And so the one
Love
that
them,
was on the
love
music
them.
sheet was one called "Take My Life and Let It Be." I'll just do like two of the stanzas.
I love that one.
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love, at the impulse of thy love. Take my will and make it thine. It shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is thine own. It shall be thy royal throne. It shall be thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at thy feet its treasure store. Take myself and I will be ever only all for thee, ever only all for thee.
Okay, let us pray. Dear Heavenly and most righteous Father God, we come before you today, Lord. Lord, thank you. Thank you for bringing all of us here today, Lord. Thank you for just letting us dwell in your message, Lord, dwell in your word, Lord, and learn from your word, Lord. Lord, thank you for everyone who was here today, Lord, and those who couldn't make it, Lord. I pray that you're watching over each of our lives, Lord. Lord, I pray that you just order our steps, Lord. Lord, I pray that your Holy Spirit be in the center of all our lives, Lord. That wherever you want us to go, Lord, we may go there, Lord, by your Spirit, Lord. Lord, grant us a spirit of discernment, Lord, to know what is right from wrong, Lord. Lord, help us to fulfill your will in our lives, your purpose in our lives, Lord. Lord, thank you again for this discussion, Lord, as we have learned a lot, Lord. And I pray that I pray that as each of us leave, Lord, we take away a message from you, Lord, and we are not the same, Lord. And I pray that you just cover and protect and guide each of us in our lives, Lord. In your holy and precious name I pray. Amen.